As a historian of ideas, I think there were obviously deep-seated social and economic reasons. The king, the monarchy, didn't have enough money. Now, the king's reaction to this was to develop an ideology that stressed his divinity. He was appointed by God, and as a consequence of that, he owned everything. All property was his. So if he wanted to levy new taxes or to use his prerogative, so a power of law outside of the normal routines, to fine people, to create monopolies, he could. So there was essentially a conflict of ideas between an idea of monarchy that was descending from God and allowed the king really to rule as his will saw fit, and a growing tradition within the House of Commons in particular. And Edward Coke, famous common lawyer, is very important in this development in showing that from the times of Magna Carta, parliaments represent, in some sense, the will of the Commonwealth, the good of the people. And that parliamentary ideology believes that taxes should be negotiated. Parliament should offer counsel, kings get taxes in returns for doing other things. So there is an ideological split. They share common ground. Everybody believes there is a constitution and that kings are from God. But slowly, as we see Charles I's career develop, and as he turns to more and more innovative ways of raising money. So, for example, in the Forest of Dean, he says, all of you charcoal burners, that's my wood. You're going to have to pay me a tax. And the good Forest of Dean people say, no, it's ours. It's been ours for thousands of years. I'll send my troops to sort you out. Well, they did, and they came back with their tails between their legs because those local people believed they had rights, and especially rights of property and rights of political freedom. So there was, by the 1630s, a real cleavage between these two different opinions about what legitimate power was. And that's represented in church sermons, in political pamphlets. Certainly from the later 1630s, there's a lot of what Charles I would call seditious pamphleteering that would challenge his rights to do X, Y, and Z. Layer on top of that religious ideology. Charles I believed he was appointed by God and believed that he had rights of control over public religion. By this time in the 1630s, there's the rise of what's become known as Puritanism, religious men and women who believe that God speaks to them through scripture, not through images and stained glass and beautiful music. Well, Charles I was a bit of an artistic sort of chap, and he very much wanted what his archbishop called the beauty of holiness. So he also, as well as fiddling with people's property in the Forest of Dean, he started passing legislation on his authority that adjusted the inside of every parish church in England and Wales. And eventually he would try and do the same in Scotland and Ireland, which caused a huge amount of resentment. So when you mix in ideology, civil ideology about what is a right and what is Parliament for, with religious motivations, you have a very combustible material. And by 1641, too, it exploded.